When you can't see in the dark, you need infrared radio.
Alright, so you think you're ready. Okay, then you say this with me. We were born for this. We were born for this. Alright, so you think you're ready. Okay, then you say this with me. We were born for this. 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 We were born for. We were born for.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another Infrared Radio show here on the PGP Radio Network, WPGP Radio Digital Broadcasting in Augusta, Georgia. I'm Greg. That is Deb. Oh, wait. Let me get the cameras on us. Wait. What up?
Hi. Hey, by the way, I'm not in Augusta, Georgia. I'm in Kokomo, Indiana.
Yep.
So we're like dual city.
Right. Well, we're dual city broadcasting. I have to say the digital broadcasting Augusta, Georgia because of the call letters.
Right.
That's a whole FCC thing. It is what it is, you know. And it's funny too because you can get the digital broadcasting license, but you're not. The only thing that you're sanctioned to do is say the call letters at the top of the hour or at the half mark of the hour. But you have to give out like where the call letters are registered to. But internet radio is not sanctioned by the FCC as of yet. So, but that's one of the stipulations for the broadcasting or call letters. It's really weird.
Cool.
But from now on, we're going to go WPGP Digital Broadcasting Augusta, Georgia, and Kokomo, Indiana.
No, I'm just kidding. I was just saying, you know.
Well, you know, eventually I'll be down in Tampa, and I'll be down in Tampa area, and there will be WPGP Radio Digital Broadcasting Tampa, Florida.
And hopefully someday I'll be down there. Although, you know, I really can't tolerate the humidity.
Whatevs.
I don't
You
like
know,
humidity.
a lot of people say that, and the only thing I have to say to that is that, you know what? Air conditioning.
Right. Cough it up,
Because, you know,
Cheryl.
oh, wow. We have a doggy cough-up situation.
Okay, take a nap. My new dog has grass allergies because he weighs 1 pound, and when he walks through the yard to go potty,
His belly.
the grass is in his face like this. Poor little Bella.
Tell our listeners and watchers what you told me about your dog. About how
What
small.
about him?
About how small he is.
He weighs 1 pound.
1.
1 pound. Like 1 pound. And he is, come here, Shelly. Let everybody see how
What
tiny
the vet said that he is the smallest.
He's the smallest Yorkie that she's seen for a long time, maybe ever. He had another one come in 2 weeks, or a week before Sheldon, who's 1 week older than him and weighed 2.5 pounds. Sheldon weighs 1 pound, and she said that she'll be surprised if he makes it to 4 pounds, full grown.
My
Okay,
dogs literally dump 4 pounds.
Shoot.
What did you drop?
Hold on, I'll show you his chew bone, which is so big he can't get it in his mouth.
Shut the front door.
That's like an hors d'oeuvre for my other dog, who weighs 100 pounds.
Right.
Here's
That
your
is
little
hilarious.
lamb
And he
chop.
can't
Look,
get it in his mouth.
Here's his little lammy chop that he sleeps with, and lammy chop is bigger than him.
Right? Does he take advantage of Lamb Chop?
Oh, no, he just lays on him right now. He did try to hunch my leg, though. I'm like, really? You're 8 weeks old, and you like, weigh a pound, and you're trying to hunch my leg?
Your 1 pound dog has some Mississippi leg hound up in him.
He is funny. He's so ornery. He doesn't know. He's fearless. I should have named him Fearless Fly. For
Right.
real.
Aw, that's hilarious.
I said he's not going to know what his name is for like months because we call him Shellinator and Sheldini because we can't find him, and Shelly McShellerson and Shelly Belly and all. Instead of his name is Sheldon, I need to knock that off so he can answer to it.
Right. He's like, it's like the comedy skit where, you know, I was 13 before I realized my name wasn't God Damn It or Jesus Christ.
I know.
You know what I mean?
And that's my life for real. Seriously.
I have 4 names. God damn it, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was holy.
Holy.
Ah. So, yeah, I was telling you, but I got bit by my dog.
And that sucks. Your
For
own
anyone
dog.
that doesn't know, you probably can't see the injuries, but
I
have
can't even see you.
I have a pit bull, and I know we're gonna fix that. I'm still working on that where you can see me and but with the way this X broadcast and the whole thing, but I have a pit bull. His name is Samson. He's 4, and he's a big baby. He's adorable, but he hates when people hit the doorbell. So just like any other dog, he flips out when it goes off, and he's barking, barking, barking. And I open up the door, and there's this little black boy out on the front porch. His name was Daquan. This is how traumatized I was with this situation. I remember the little boy's name, and I remember how he looked at me, because by the time I got the door open to see him, look at you taking selfies of your dog. I swatted at Samson's face to get him away because he's trying to get his nose out the door to look at this kid or bark at him. So I swiped down with my hand to hit him on the nose, and my finger went into the back jaw line of his mouth, and he bit down just as it went in there, and it punctured the inside of my finger right at the very tip, the curl, the very first wrinkle in your finger, and on the right underneath the nail bed, and I probably could have used a stitch or two.
Ew, why didn't
I'm
you?
wondering-
Get it fixed?
Well, because Medicare sucks. I'm wondering if he didn't maybe break it as well.
Ew.
Break my finger. Because it's swollen and it's sore and I can barely move it at all and it hurts. But anyway, and the funny thing is, and it's funny how dogs, and it's not just with this finger thing, especially with my animals. And it's really weird because I have health issues anyway with my lower back and legs and whatnot. When I'm really hurting, they're very attentive to me.
Yeah, animals are like that. They can sense things.
They pick up on the entire, you don't feel good. I want to make you feel better aspect of existence, I guess. Mm-hmm. And the whole time, I mean, of course I yelled at him because he bit me and it hurt. And I might have yelled out some very explicit expletives.
Cuss words. You
right.
bad.
But I mean, I had blood streaming all down my hand. So, I mean, it wasn't like, and I showed it to him. I said, "You're a very bad boy, all day long, he wouldn't look at me, but he'd give me his little, how dogs give you a hug, and cats the same. They put their heads against you and just kind of nuzzle you.
Head bump.
He did that all afternoon. We give him ice because he's like, that's his treat for some reason. I don't know. He's stupid. He's adorable, but he's dumb. And he wouldn't take the ice from me. I'd go to give him the ice, and he'd turn away from me, and he was real timid. And so I had to show him a little bit of affection last night and rub his head.
He thought you were mad at him.
Yeah.
He's mad at me.
And usually when we get home, when I go pick up the wife and whatnot from work and come back, he's like all about her, because that's her dog, basically. I mean, it's just, truth be told, that's her dog. And he was up my ass the entire time. And I'm like, dude, it is okay. I'm not mad at you. Poop happens. It is what it is. It just hurt when I yelled. But yeah,
I heard my daddy. Oh my God.
Terrible dog. But that goes back to the conversation we had a couple shows ago. How animals have feelings and souls. And, I mean that's the perfect example of that type of situation. Is that he knew, and he thought he was in big poodoo, and it took a while for him to realize that he wasn't anymore.
Well, Sheldon, when we first got him, he was very timid and didn't know anybody, and had them big eyes, and I could tell he was scared. And now, a week, 9 days later, he's like attached to the hip for me and Dave.
Yeah.
And when somebody else comes in the house that he doesn't know, who wants to pick him up or see him, then he gets all timid and shaky, and he wants his mommy and daddy, he wants us, So it's like, their little feelings, just like their animals are just, sentient beings, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking of.
Very true. Very true. So, yeah, like I said, we went out to, I was telling you, Deb, we went out to the bar last night. Which, I remember going to the bar and having money to actually drink, which we don't have anymore. So, I mean, I had a couple beers, and that's generally my limit with my metformin. But I realized last night how old I actually am. You know what I mean? It was one of those. I mean, it was a young bar, and a young person's bar, and all these guys are walking around in their polos and their, their khaki shorts, and they're all, preppy, and they're Amazon chicks here, 6'2", 6'3", and Deanna and I, when we got there, she's like, "Oh my God, these girls are like so tall." And then it hit me, the volleyball and basketball team for the college, because this is a college town. It's like they're athletes from the college, And, but yeah, I mean, the music was going boom, 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 and I'm thinking, man, the quality of this music sucks. And it's not that the music they were playing; it was the quality, it was the sound. It was like muffle loud.
Yeah, because no one listens to the words anymore anyway. It's all about the rhythm.
Right. And I'm like, the acoustics in here kind of suck. I mean, you could put, I'm thinking to myself, we could put speakers here, kind of, blast it this way. And then I'm thinking, who cares? I'll take a Corona. Yeah. Corona, thanks.
The words usually suck anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Whose boobs were on Facebook the other day?
Those are Renee's, and she works with Dee. And she's awesome. She's a funny girl. She's a little bit younger than me, a little bit older than Dee, so she's kind of in the middle of us. And it was her idea it was basically Deanna's work people going out, and Deanna didn't want to go alone, and she's like, "You should come with." And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to intrude." She's like, no, come on. And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So yeah, I went, and then I walked. And the funny thing is, I walked by a bar. And see, and this bar was long and thin. I mean, it was probably 20 foot wide, but long as hell. And there's people, and it's sweat, and they can smoke in the bars here. Yeah. So, and I mean, it was just like, oh my God, dude. And it was hot, and, there was quite the diversity of people in there. But then I passed a bar on our way out, and it was on the corner of the street. It was like a block actually from the Haunted Pillar that you and I were talking about prior to the show. And it was reminiscent of a hole in the wall biker bar. It was live. There was live rock music playing. It was a sports bar sort of, because I mean there's 4 or 5, 6 pool tables in there. There wasn't a whole lot of people. There was outside tables and chairs, and guys sitting with their women and, having a good time. But it wasn't so loud that it was distorting of the music, and the atmosphere was good. You could actually see in there. They actually had lights instead of strobe lights that could, bring on epilepsy or anything. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's the kind of bar that I would actually go to, and then it hit me. And what started off this whole conversation is you never really realize how old you are until you go into a bar of that nature and go, wow, I'm old.
Right.
It's sad. It's sad, really. I remember going to the bar on a Friday night and coming out broke as hell the next Saturday morning. And that was perfectly okay. And now it's like, can I just go home and watch NCIS on Netflix now?
Yeah, I know. I used to go out all the time when I was younger. I always go to the little hole in the walls like Post Pub and places like that.
Yeah.
And, meet dudes and play Miss Pac-Man and dance to Hall & Oates. And then after the bar closed, go next door to the Golden Corral, or the Golden Nugget, which was like a Waffle House, and eat pancakes until the sun came up. But
no.
And then I sneak in. I spend the night at my girlfriend's house, and then we would sneak in her mom's house at when the sun was coming up, and we'd just get in her room and get snuggled down underneath the covers to hide, and the alarm would go off for her parents to get up and go to work.
Oh, crap.
I know.
And
I was 19, so I wasn't even legal.
What? Shut the front door.
No, I never got carded. And back then, it wasn't that big a deal.
I got
It
carded
was a
last
big deal,
night.
but it ain't like a felony now, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Back then, it was like they just threw your ass back out and said, go home, kid.
Right, yeah.
And now everybody goes to prison.
Yeah, everyone goes to lockup for the night. Call your parents, go to lockup.
Yeah.
I got carded last night.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, dude, do I look like I'm 30? Because what is it? You have to be carded if you look like up to
apparently
the age
you
of 30
do.
or 35. I've got more gray in my beard than that dude had anywhere on his body or on my goatee. I'm like, dude, really?
Well, I don't get carded anymore, but I used to when I was in my 40s, right after I colored my hair. But not anymore.
Well, see, I cut all my gray out of my head, so they couldn't necessarily
Oh yeah,
see.
you shaved your head.
Right.
Do that.
No, you don't want to do that.
If I did that,
You don't want to be no Shinehead O'Connor.
I'd be getting sympathy cards. People be thinking I had something wrong with me.
Our deepest condolences, Dad.
Yeah.
And you're like, for what?
I shaved my head. That's all.
Right.
Because my hair sucked.
That's so messed up. So today on the show we've got Angela Johnson, Angela Tibbets Johnson. Deb and I met her actually when we went to a trip down to Bobby Mackeys, and that was a whole experience in itself. That's like a whole show in itself. That whole night to talk about. But anyway,
Right.
and she was with NKYPS and Crystal and all of them from Paranormal Outreach Radio. With their group for a while, then they split off and did their own team, and then she split off, and what she's doing now is research and investigations of and restorations of old graveyards and what we call them the
Potter's Field.
Potter's Fields, which I had no idea what they were until Deb looked it up for me, and she's going to talk with us today about what she does and the process and how she got into doing that. So it's going to be an interesting show and find out what she's been up to. She's a really cool chick. We had a lot of fun when we were down in
Oh yeah.
Bobby Mackeys, other than Deb's vehicle being an asshole.
Well.
How far away technically were we from home? Well, we were about 2.5 hours, 3 hours away from home.
From your house.
Yeah, and then another hour and a half to your home in Cocoa.
Yeah, so I was like 5 hours, 5.5 hours from home, and this car wouldn't start. I'm like, seriously? Way to give me a panic attack.
Seriously, that is no lie. Deb was like,
I was freaked out.
WTF, how the F are we going to get home? This is effing bull, blah, blah, blah.
Well, the car was brand new. I had
Brand
it like
new.
a week,
Yeah.
and it had like, 50 miles on it? I'm like, really?
Yep.
Oh my God, that was a nightmare.
It was kind of messed up. I was thinking, man, we're a long ways from home to.
We're fudged.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got a new car. I mean, they got it fixed, and they got me this amazing, awesome 12-year warranty to go along with the fixed job.
Mhm.
And it ran great, and then the damn tornado destroyed it. What the actual was that?
Yeah, that was messed up.
Ugh. Oh well.
Yeah, I know. So, but you're alive, so that's a bonus.
Yay!
That's
Yeah,
good
that's
enough for me.
convenient. I wouldn't be able to do a whole lot of stuff if I weren't.
It's weird how things. I mean, it was the next day that the tornado hit, wasn't it?
No, that was when we went to that
Roads.
investigation, that friend of Angie's.
Oh, that's right, in Franklin Township.
In Franklin, and then Angie took me. I went home with Angie, and then she took me over to her family's having that bonfire, and went on that little hayride deal and all that stuff. Went home the next day, and bam, everything's gone.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I remember that.
November the 17th, 2013. Bam.
Crazy stuff.
I know,
It's
right?
Crazy. But all right, we're gonna get Angie on the phone with us right now, and kind of figure out what she's up to, and she can tell us a little bit about her organization. That's not weird. Tell us a little bit. There we go. Enunciate. I'm pretty.
You can't help it. You're a hillbilly.
Damn, did you really just go there?
Yeah.
How you gonna call me a hillbilly? Angie?
Hi.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you all?
I just got called a hillbilly.
So it's all good.
Well, if the shoe fits.
Hey, Well, yeah,
Get
all
over it,
right.
Greg.
I don't
Oh,
know.
goodness.
I don't. Not a hillbilly. I'm not even a redneck. I just don't. I don't know. It's hard. It's a
Yeah,
hard category.
you're a true Southerner now. That's right. You no longer live up north. You moved down south, right?
That's right. We moved to Augusta, Georgia. We're planning on going further south, so we're going to be Floridians before it's all said and
Oh,
done.
all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So, I we haven't talked in a long time, and like Deb and I just said, last time we actually talked, I think, was when we were at Bobby Mackeys.
Yeah. It's the last time I actually seen you guys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been a few years.
Yes, it has. That was a good time, though. I'm just
It
saying.
was. It was.
So, what have you been up to?
Oh gosh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Uh, I had co-founded a group, Gatekeeper Paranormal, a few years back. Actually, just recently left the group to kind of venture out on my own and start my own little gig,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm still in the works on that. But yeah, I was with my own group for several years, and we did. We were basically and I believe those girls still may be doing this, but I was the tour guides for Bobby Mackeys.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did that for a few years, and of course, we had our own investigative group, so of course, we did that as well. So
Right. Now, one thing about Bobby Mackeys is that everyone who's ever watched a paranormal show and had a story about Bobby Mackeys or an episode about Bobby Mackeys is that,
yeah,
gateway to hell and
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
demon this and demon that.
yeah,
And one of the things that Deb and I, and we've talked about it quite a bit, was that when we were there, we didn't get the sense of dread that everyone says that they feel when they're there.
right. And that's true. A lot of people who do the tours at Bobby Mackey's or they investigate, they they do get that sense that it's not all doom and gloom. It's not, the demons, and they don't feel threatened. But there are some people though who do.
Hmm.
I don't know if there are certain individuals that these spirits kind of single out, or if there's just something about these individuals. But
Hmm.
most people generally have a good experience. Um, they get a lot of videos and personal experiences and EVPs, but actually feeling physically threatened, you really don't get as much of that,
Right.
as you do see on TV.
Right. Now, during your times doing the tours and whatnot, had you had any experience or had a tour-e have any experiences of that type of nature?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had several people over the course of the few years
Hmm.
that were one of the, if you want to call it this, one of the fortunate ones to have experienced that, especially in the basement.
Hmm.
Um, if for all of you that have been or have not been in the basement, there is a little area that they call the cell. It's an old, like a jail cell, where they would actually detain people in this little area, and that tends to be the most oppressive, and the area that tends to get the most physical experiences out of. People get the physical experiences out of that little area. It does feel a bit negative, but I don't think that it's demonic in nature. I just
Right.
think it's just a ticked off spirit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
They're just not happy.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've had people that have been scratched,
Hmm.
I was
and
just
I've
getting ready to
watched.
ask you if you've had any scratchings or anything like that.
Oh yeah, and I've watched the actual welts just appear in front of my eyes too. It's very odd and very strange to watch, and at
Yeah.
the same time it's exciting, because it's like, wow, I can't believe that I'm seeing this. But
Right.
You know, just as an example, I had a couple of guys from Pennsylvania came in for my 2-hour private tour, and as we're sitting in the basement in complete darkness, one of the guys, it was almost towards the end of his tour. It was so quiet the entire tour. And he was sitting in the cell, and they had about 20 minutes or so left remaining on their tour. And he did a little provoking, which, you know, we kind of tend to tell people, you know, it's not the best thing to do. You know,
Right.
be careful of what you ask for.
Yeah.
So he, you know, he was sitting in here and he was, you know, doing his provoking, and all of a sudden this guy just starts running out of this little cell, and he's, you know, he's really panicking. He's kind of screaming a little bit, and after, you know, finally getting him to calm down, I'm like, dude, you know, what's wrong? Just, you know, let's document your experience. You know, let's find out what's going on. And he said that he actually felt like pain on his leg, and he was wearing shorts.
Mhm.
Felt pain on one of his legs. He was sitting in a little chair, and then he heard a voice in his ear. I couldn't really tell what it was. It was more like a breathy voice, and within a few minutes of looking at his leg, I seen 3 welts appear up his leg.
Oh wow.
And it was fresh, because you could actually see the little dots of blood, and you could see the skin raise where, you know, where it was welted. And
Right.
and this kid, he generally panicked, and he refused to go back in. He's like, you know what, I thought that this was a bunch of BS, but you know, you know, by the end of his tour, he was convinced. So
Wow.
you know, that's just one of the many times, but.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it just happens, you know, to certain individuals. There are some nights that it's extremely quiet and they don't encounter or witness or experience anything, and then there are some nights that it's like, wow, you know, they're really performing for us tonight, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I know when we were there, really the only time, I guess, and this is going to be funny because this is really the only time this ever happens to me, where I start feeling uncomfortable
Hmm.
in the bathroom.
Oh yeah,
You
really?
know what I mean? Yeah. This Mackeys was the second place that, you know, I guess a commercial investigation
Right.
that I've got that feeling that when I was in the bathroom, I felt like somebody was in there with me.
Yeah,
And of course, there was nobody in there. I was the only one in there, but it happened to me again at the Crump Theater in Columbus, Indiana. I was in the bathroom, and weird things happened in the bathroom there, other than, you know, me using the bathroom. But
right.
it was, and I think Deb had the same experience when she went to the bathroom as well.
Yeah, I felt like somebody was watching me.
Yeah.
And you know,
it was weird.
yeah, a lot of stories, you know, for over the years involves the bathrooms. You know, one of the more, I guess you could say, urban legends regarding the place.
Mhm.
You know, first of all, with the women's bathroom, there was always, you know, the story that the mirror that is against the wall, which has been replaced several times. A lot of women through the years have reported that, you know, looking through that mirror, they could see the image of, you know, a silhouette of a woman behind them. You know, of course, turning around and nothing is there. You know, so there that is that claim, and then also with the men's restroom, if anyone, you know, has watched Ghost Adventures, they've seen the episode where one of the guys was back there in the men's restroom and you know, kind of felt, you know, physically threatened, you know, kind of pushed up, I think, against the wall or something like that, and heard a bunch of knocking noises, and, you know, physically he ran out of the bathroom. So there is an episode with that. But so yeah, there's the stories that involve the bathroom through the years.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of hard pressed to believe anything Ghost Adventures does.
I know, right?
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it could
Were
happen. I'm
you
not
were
saying-
you there when they were in there? I mean, were you around?
Not for their first 2 filmings. Now Nick came back in February of last year. You know, after he claimed that he would never return. You know, one of his claims were that from his past investigations there, that he felt like something followed him home. Then, you know, it kind of took over his life. He was more or less oppressed and had this negative entity or energy attached to him that, you know, caused him to get a divorce, you know, ended his marriage. And and things like that. And he always vowed that he would never go back. But in February of last year, he said that he felt like he was at a point in his life that he just had to get that part of his life done and over with, and kind of take care of some unfinished things and then be done with it. So so he did come back last year. I think this was after he left Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
So, and he actually had a lot of EVPs. I was really surprised. We were down in the basement with him, and within 5 minutes, he had numerous EVPs, and one that I can recall specifically called him by name, and I believe his question was, "Do you remember me?" And it said, like, "Yes, Nick, we remember you," or something like that. But it was crazy.
Yeah, those are the best EVPs when they actually say your name.
Yeah,
That's just like, okay.
Even if they do call you a dumbass.
Right.
That's only happened to me once, okay? I actually had an EVP we were in Kokomo, weren't we, Deb? I don't know. We were somewhere.
I remember.
And yeah, they didn't have nice things to say to me. Although they did call my kid, Corey, he was what, 17, 18 at the time, and we were at a location, and they called him a little bitch or something like that to that effect, So yeah, we're used to being cussed at. It happens.
I just get a lot of "Hi Debs" or "Hey Deb, how you doing?" stuff like that.
I've never had anything address me personally, but
It's freaky.
I can imagine it would be. But I have heard EVPs. We have received EVPs especially it seems to be a woman quite a bit in the basement, who always she'll say, like, "Shh, they're here," or we've got this really good EVP. Within a minute and 30 seconds of setting down the recorder, we actually set the recorder down in the basement in the well room, and we walked out. We were going to do group photos outside. Walked outside, and within a minute and 30 seconds, we got this EVP, a woman's voice, and it had a really thick country twang accent to it. And it was a whisper. We didn't have to really edit it in any way, just turned up the volume. And this voice says, "She does not want them down here." It's like, oh my God,
Oh, wow.
I can't believe it was crazy.
Right. That
So,
is awesome.
We've always thought, who is she that's speaking, and who is she that, the person that she's referring to? So yeah, it's EVPs are my favorite part of investigating. I just think it's just creepy, to know there are voices that are being, that people are talking, things are talking, and you can't hear them until you play back the recordings. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I think Deb and I are kind of on the same page with that. The
for
EVPs
sure.
are the best for us as well.
Yeah.
And the thing it's funny about EVPs, and people don't understand, is that you can take a recorder to the Walmart with you.
Absolutely.
Or you can sit out on the back porch, or you can, be driving up the road or anything and get EVPs. You don't have to be in a haunted location to get them.
Absolutely.
I took a recorder. I took a recorder to the factory I worked at one night when I went in like 2 a.m. and there wasn't hardly anybody there. And I went to an area where there were no people, and I just played my recorder, let it run for about 5 minutes while I was on a break. Didn't hear a soul, didn't hear anything. And when I played it back later, I could hear clearly in my headphones, "Hi." Just like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it really, I think it's, in the paranormal field, it just kind of validates that these spirits really are all around us. You just, just a basic little recorder, sit and record, and people would be surprised what they'll catch.
Right.
Yeah.
It's my favorite tool.
Mine as well, yeah.
Except for Greg, he's my favorite.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. So, Angela, tell us about your new organization.
Sure. Yeah, I'm actually still working on it, trying to get everything together. It's under construction, but what I'm doing is I've actually created an organization for research and restoration of abandoned graveyards, potter's fields, cemeteries, and with a bit of a paranormal flair,
Mm-hmm.
where I can go and investigate them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what got me into this is there's a few abandoned graveyards that are just local here to me in the middle, literally in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you were specifically searching for it, you would never know that it was there. And it's really interesting because some of these grave sites that I've come across were, they're war heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One here local to me is he's a revolutionary general in which Pikes Peak in Colorado was named after him.
Oh, wow.
So, you come across a lot of historical figures, their families, and things like that. So, while I'm doing some restorations, I have equipment that I use to kind of restore these gravestones, to kind of be able to read them. And then after doing that, I can do the research.
Right.
And while I'm cleaning, this area up, now you remember it's overgrown with trees and bushes and, you gotta really get down and dirty and clearing these areas out.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm doing that, I will sometimes go and record, do EVPs, and I've come across some pretty crazy things too. A lot of voices. I get a lot of whispers, and it's really kind of hard to tell sometimes what they're saying. But I've got one, a male voice that says, "You're at the wrong spot." It's just phenomenal, you're at the wrong spot, and
Right.
here I am, digging for this old gravestone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing, around this area. So, and then after I'm finished, clearing out the area and doing my research, then I'll go back and do a more, thorough investigation and
Right.
See what I can come up with.
Are you doing this by yourself? I mean, do you have
I,
a crew that?
yeah, yeah. Right now, I'm doing it alone. I fund everything myself. Equipment, supplies, everything that I need, and then of course, uh, just every expense. I'm doing it all on my own. But
Wow.
if anybody's out there willing to volunteer, or if they know any locations, any old abandoned graveyards that, I'd love to know about them so I can go
Mm-hmm.
check them out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually,
Yeah,
my very first EVP was out of a cemetery, and
really.
out in Morgan Monroe State Park at the Step Cemetery. For you people in Indiana, there are two Step cemeteries. There's the 100 Step that's in Terre Haute, and Step Cemetery is the one that I went to is near Bloomington. And it's I think the last person to be buried there was like 1984,
Wow. Yeah.
94. Yeah, I think it was 94, but it was a family plot. But I mean, it goes back to Civil War days,
Right.
and a lot of the headstones were run down and foliaged over.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's just it's awesome. Except for these two old ladies that were buried next to each other. It was in the fall. Real quick, it was in the fall. There were leaves everywhere except for on these two graves. All the leaves were spread out around the graves.
Oh, wow.
And the story behind Step Cemetery is that there was a child who was killed or murdered somehow. His mother was grieving and would go to his gravesite every day and sit on this tree stump in front and sing. So one of the claims of activity is that you can hear somebody singing a lullaby. Alls I heard was, and it was around the two old ladies. And I say old ladies because, well, it was ladies' graves and they were dead.
Sure.
And,
Right.
I mean, it's just one of those things. But my EVP said, "Get out of here."
Wow.
And I'm standing and looking in amazement. I mean, because you don't see stuff like that in
Exactly.
abandoned. Yeah, I mean, there's nobody that takes care of these places. I mean, there's hunters
Right.
all over that area because, deer season and everything.
Mhm.
And which was kind of stupid now that I think back, because I wasn't wearing anything fluorescent. I could have got shot. That was pretty stupid of me. But
Right. Gotta be careful.
right. But these two grave sites were side by side, and there were absolutely no leaves, and there were leaves all around it, all over everything else. It's just kind of weird. But I mean, do you just and we just kind of happened? I mean, we heard the stories. We just kind of happened upon it. I mean, is that kind of how you're rolling right now? Is that you know, word of mouth? You have, you know, research like at the library or at the State House Library or wherever, and try to find
All resources that I can use, I do use word of mouth. You know, a lot of especially some of these places are most of them actually are on private property. So first of all, I do have to obtain, you know, permission to you know, to go onto the property, because I'm all about being, you know, legal.
not being shot
So
at.
exactly right. So, and then, you know, when talking to these landowners, then of course, you know, a lot of times they have the specific stories. Of course, you know, they may not have been alive during these times, but, you know, a lot of times it's their own family members that, you know, and these stories have been passed down through the years. So I take some of the information that they give me, and then, you know, I'll go to the library, historical society, you know, ancestry.com, you know, things like that, you know, that just to do the research on. And then once I, you know, have finished restoring the actual stone, you know, then I can, you know, attach the research part of it. And, you know, that's when I'm going to kind of put all of that stuff up on, you know, my Facebook page and my website and things like that. So it's a lot of work, though. It's very time consuming. It's not something that you can do in a day or a week. Sometimes you know, it takes a while.
Right. Now, what kind of restoration can you do with old stones? I mean, I have no idea whatsoever.
There's a chemical. It's called D2. It's a biological solution. And actually, Arlington National Cemetery, they also use this solution to clean the stones, the markers in that cemetery as well.
Okay.
It's a environmentally, you know, friendly solution. You know, it takes some scrubbing and, you know, some you know, with a very fine brush, you know, so that you don't actually scrape the you know, the writings off, and it's pretty cool how, you know, how clear that you can actually get these stones. It's pretty neat.
Now, I know for a lot of investigators, it's, you know, one of the things I think when I first started off was the research and history of the places, and, you know, what is the actual story of what's going on. I mean, is that kind of how you got into doing this? I mean, what was your motivation for the restoration and investigation of these places?
Well, I've always had a fascination with old graveyards and cemeteries. Just, you know, just go again. That it falls right along, you know, with my interest in the paranormal since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But then, as I got, you know, a little older, I kind of thought, you know what, these people are forgotten. These people, no one knows that these people even existed. And when you start doing the research and you find out about these people's lives, again, you get historical figures. You know, one of them that I'm working on right now, a gravesite, the landowner had told me that there were stories involving this woman where she was an actual witch, and she was supposedly stoned to death.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, that's what I'm kind of working on. So you do get the paranormal stories along with that. You know, there are stories that, you know, you can see these spirits walking around. You can hear things. A lot of them are just, you know, urban legends, you know, kids that make up through the years. But sometimes there are true, the details may be accurate, you know, but and kind of embellished over the years, but there's, you know, some truth to some of those stories. So yeah, you know, and just doing the paranormal investigating and the research that involves that, you know, just really got me interested in, you know, hey, let's go check out these, you know, these grave sites and see who these people were, and, you know, what can I find out about them, and if there's anything paranormal involved with them as well. So.
Now, one question I do have for you: have you ever, and maybe for a question for you too, Deb, during your investigative time and your research into to actually doing this, Angie, have you ever gone into like basement plots, family plots? And when I say that, I know of one park that's on the east side of Indiana or Indianapolis. I think it's called the Proctor Park. Have you heard of that, Deb?
No,
There was a house that burned down, but they had a family burial plot in the basement, and that's all that's left is the foundation and the actual family plots.
Wow.
There was a house in Franklin, which we had a lot of weird stuff happening in a rental house that we had in Franklin. And come to find out, across the street and one house over, there were they actually had family members buried in the basement, because back in the day, a lot of people didn't have money to go to
Sure.
to have their family buried, so they just buried them in the basement.
Right. Wow.
And I would think that there would be quite a bit of it would be hard. It would be hard to get the history of it, because I don't know that everyone would know.
Right.
In houses, but have you come across that yet?
No, I haven't seen anything like that. I've come across a couple of old, what looks to be like old crypts. I haven't been able to distinguish any kind of carvings or writings on these yet, so it's just a matter of getting with the landowners to find out if they know anything about these certain little areas. But that'd be kind of cool to come across something like that. I'd love to check something like that out.
Yeah, the people wouldn't let me in the house into the basement to see it, because I asked.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, would you mention? I don't think so. I'm like, yeah, well, your house, okay.
Right.
Yeah. I do know. What about catacombs? Have you researched the possibility of catacombs or anything?
Well, I've contacted a few people to try to get into like the old Cincinnati subway tunnels, but there's really nothing as far as that I can really find just from doing some research that would really justify why there would be any kind of paranormal activity in those tunnels. Now, I'm sure these tunnels, I think, run very close to Cincinnati Music Hall, which I think a lot of people, especially in this area of northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, knows that Music Hall was built on top of, an old potter's field. I think there was an insane asylum there, back in the early 1800s. And instead of moving these grave sites, they just built on top of them. And actually, here recently, the past couple of weeks, as they were doing some renovations in Music Hall in the orchestra pit, they actually came across a grave site that had 6 bodies in it, like in one little grave site.
Wow.
And this was the past couple of weeks. So, they're still finding bodies today,
Wow.
just from doing renovations. So, I'd love to be able to get into some old buildings, old establishments, and just to kind of see if there's any, old houses, to see if there's anything like that in there. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I do know that, and this is going to be kind of a drive for you, but in Columbia, South Carolina, they have catacombs under the city as well. And they have just actually, within the last couple of years, actually have found it. There's, water going through it and whatnot, but it was a pretty good read.
Yeah.
But, burials and stuff like that in the area of those catacombs. And that's what made me ask, because of that particular place. It's only like a couple hours north of me.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Back in October, the group and we had actually took a trip to Europe. We went to Romania and to Paris and Brussels. And, of course, Paris, everybody knows about the Paris catacombs.
Right, yeah.
Anyone can take the public guided tour. Being the adventurous ones that we are, I actually have a friend that lives in Paris, and contacted him, and I'm like, hey, Greg, can you kind of hook us up?
Right.
That'd be cool.
and he really tried his hardest to get us into an undisclosed access, so that we could go exploring. But with him living in that area, of course he was afraid of being caught.
Right.
Because it's punishable by fines and jail time and whatnot. And he was also truly afraid to go. He was kind of terrified to go. He was worried, not only because of the paranormal part of it, but because these catacombs are hundreds of miles, and people have been lost and have never been found.
Right.
So we really tried our hardest to get in, but at the last minute, it was kind of not willing to really take us in. So, but yeah, the Paris catacombs is kind of like on my bucket list.
Right. Now, see, I would have thought that'd have been cool, and then I saw a movie one time called Catacombs, and then I decided that's probably not going to be a good idea for me.
Exactly. After watching that, yeah, a lot of people are like, "No, I'm not going there." But that just kind of encouraged me.
Well, the paranormal field, it takes all kinds. I'm just saying.
It does. Yeah.
Wow.
We're a strange bunch.
So, are you working on a website for your organization and a name for your organization?
I am. Yeah, it's under construction. I don't have it up and running. I do have a Facebook page that I've got set up. I don't have anything posted yet. Again, this was just in the past month that I've started this, so
right.
I'm still in early stages. My Facebook page is Dark Shadows, and I'm sorry, Dark Memories and Shadows of Stone.
Okay.
So once I get everything, as far as all my research and then all of my grave sites, cleaned up and matched together, then I'm going to post all of that on there. And
nice.
But in the meantime, though, like I said, if you guys know anybody or anybody out there is interested in maybe, helping to volunteer every now and then, or knows of any, sites, locations that, I can get permission to go investigate, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what we'll do, we're going to post this to YouTube and our pod page, which infrared PGP radio at podomatic.com. But it'll be on the YouTube page, Infrared Radio, and the WPGP Radio YouTube page as well. I'll jump on Facebook here a little later and look up your Facebook page, and of course, request a friend's request on there.
Yeah.
So we can keep up the information and whatnot, and hopefully we can get you back on the show after you get a little bit more stuff under your belt, and you can talk some cool stuff with us. That would be awesome.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'll let you guys know about the current one with the witch story.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to see. Yeah. Which is, for this area of Kentucky, northern Kentucky, any kind of witch stories is really kind of, it's not the usual. You kind of think of the witch stories up in, the Massachusetts area and all of that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, but there's some weird hoodoo voodoo stuff in the hills of Kentucky.
True that.
I do speak from experience. The old man was born and raised there, so we've been there quite a bit.
When you hear banjos, you run the other way.
I do that in Augusta. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
You hear some weird stuff here. It's like, ooh, no. So, all right. Well, it's been awesome to have you on. We haven't talked to you in forever. It was great to catch up with you. Keep us posted about that, and once you get some more information, you want to come back on the show and talk about it with us, you're more than welcome to come back on. Just hit me up.
It was great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Deb. Nice talking to you.
Nice to talk to you, too.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
That's cool.
That was cool. She's fun. She was fun to hang out and talk to, and knowledgeable about the paranormal, and it was good to actually,
I think what she's doing is interesting.
Yeah, right. I mean,
don't take my yawning, and my yawning is that I'm just tired.
It happens. It happens when we get older.
But yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I find that stuff fascinating. A house that we bought one time, or lived in, I should say, not bought. we found an old headstone in the basement.
Oh, wow.
Seriously.
Shut up.
Yeah,
Really?
and when talking with the owner who we were renting this place, it's a big lot of property in the back, like an orchard and all. The guy told us that, back then, back in the day, like, he thought that this family had a stillbirth baby, and it was buried on the property.
Yeah.
For the longest time, they had made a headstone and had it out there, and then somebody, in the modern age brought it in and just stuck it down there because nobody wants to have a headstone in your backyard, you know what I mean?
Right.
But that was how things were done back in those days.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of, there were some church cemeteries and what have you, but a lot of times if you had any kind of property at all, when your family member passed, your family member got planted there on your property, and that's just how they did it. So
Right, yeah, I mean...
It was kind of freaky to move into a house and find a friggin' tombstone in your basement. I'm like, what the actual is this?
I don't know that I would have moved it off of even if it was in the backyard.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either, actually, but somebody did in the past that owned the house, so I couldn't.
I might have even put a little fence or some kind of barricade up around.
And there's something just like that in Jackson Morrow Park, where here in Kokomo, where I live.
Yeah.
One of the original owners of the property there, I can't remember his name, Benjamin something. He's actually buried on the property at Jackson Morrow. So instead of moving his burial ground and disturbing him, they just put a big black wrought iron fence around the entire area, around that grave. Mm-hmm. And there's a big plaque on a post, and it tells who's buried there and why they're there and what relevance they had to this property in this area. Mm-hmm. So, and I walk past it every time I go for a walk. The footpath runs right alongside of his grave, and it's the strangest thing to see in a park, but yet, I get it. It makes sense. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I wish you could come down here and go to this Somerville Cemetery with me. This is where Edgar Allan Poe's family's buried.
Oh, that'd be neat.
It's an old cemetery, and it's privately owned now and belonged to the city at the time. But I mean, there's like some real prominent names from the area, including the Poes. It was his brother and sister-in-law, I think, or cousin, or some son, something like that. But he had actually had ties here to Augusta. Poe did himself, so I thought that was pretty cool. But the cemetery is awesome, and I love going through cemeteries. I mean, not just for the paranormal aspect, because, and you know what, I think it's funny too that most paranormal investigators believe there's no spirits in the cemetery. Mm-hmm. There's nothing going on in the cemeteries. I've had plenty of EVPs come from cemeteries.
I've had a lot of photographs and strange things, but when I go to cemeteries, most of the time I just feel peaceful. I don't feel, occasionally I feel like I'm being watched, but not often, and it's not a threatening way, and I don't think a lot of them are there, but some might be.
Right.
But I know my late husband was hanging about in the beginning. I think after time passes, they tend to move on, unless they have issues.
Well, I always feel like I'm being watched in a cemetery anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every time I walk into one, but I mean, let's think about this logically. I mean, not necessarily visiting their own gravesite, but it would be no different than you or I going to visit a past relative.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and just to pay respects if they're not with you on the other side or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or just, to do it. I mean, what do I got to do today? I'm dead. I don't have anything to do. I'm just going to go to the gravesite and look at the gravestones of, whatever, and have memories.
That's a big deal. Maybe they do, and I mean, it's a big deal, like at Crown Point in Indy. Uh-huh. One of the oldest and biggest cemeteries, around. Yep. They have like whole groups that do tours there, and they do rubbings of the old stones, and they have a lot of famous people buried there, famous Hoosiers, and they do whole tour groups that come through there and tour these cemeteries.
Benjamin Harrison's there,
Yeah.
Dillinger's there, a couple old presidents, artists, authors. I mean, there's quite a few prominent people buried in Crown Hill. Mm-hmm. It's a shame that it's in the ghetto, and you have to go during the daytime, or you're going to get shot at night.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad things that happen around that area. But yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason. Like I said, I mean, every time that I've ever taken a recorder to a graveyard or a cemetery, I've gotten an EVP. So I mean, it's not the possibility of it not happening. It's just when is it going to happen?
Yeah.
But I think that's awesome that she's actually going through and she's researching and cleaning up, and it's going to be interesting to see what she comes up with. Yeah, especially with the witch. And like I said, I mean, there's some
that's cool
country mojo going on up in them hills in Kentucky. Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, the tri-state area. Not to mention in Cherokee. The Indian sites there, the lore of the Cherokee people there in that area in North Carolina. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what she comes up with. I'll keep in touch with her, and when she gets something on the witch, I'll have her back on, and we'll talk to her about that. But if you guys have any kind of show ideas or something that you want Deb and I to address and talk about and do a little research on, we can do that. Send us an email, staffmpr@gmail.com, and wpgpradio@gmail.com, and we will get on that. Remember, check out IR Radio, PGP Radio, or some IR. I don't know. I'll figure it out. IR Infrared PGP Radio.
You can do it.
I know, right? Why can't I remember that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. WPGP on YouTube and Infrared Radio on YouTube. You guys, you check this video for you guys listening live to watch it again. And that's pretty much all I have. You have anything else, Deb?
Nope. I'm good, man.
I ain't got nothing.
I got nothing.
I got nothing but loves for you.
I got a sleepy puppy. I got to wake him up or he'll be up all night howling all night.
I got a sleepy old man going to the
sleepy me too.
bar like I was 21 years old. For the love. All right, you guys, remember, you can check us back next weekend here on the PGP Radio Network. And we're out of beer, out of here. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
You've been listening to Infrared Radio here on the PGP Radio Network. Join Deb and Gregg every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, WPGP Digital Radio, Augusta, Georgia.